wanted to record this labor story before we got too far away from it and it was removed from our mind, like all the little details of the day. And
it's kind of funny how the story has evolved. I think every time we tell it, it evolves just a little bit more. So we gotta get it down.
Get all the details written down and all of that. And I was kind of anxious just about this third baby. I don't know why, just like delivery and the process. And I guess we should back up and say my first birth was a natural hospital birth. And the labor was very long in the second. I had an epidural in the hospital. And so with this third one, we definitely wanted to have time to get an epidural.
Yeah, epidural was the plan.
Was the plan, for sure. I had some of the tightening of the upper tummy, which I thought was Braxton Hicks contractions again. And just like some added pain down low, like a menstrual cramp type feeling. It didn't really feel like my other labors. I didn't feel like yet, so I guess I was in really early labor. And I decided, and I told Tyler, I was like, I'm feeling like a little bit of pain below, and he's like, well, should we pack the bags, or like, he was like you need to tell me, like, be straight up. Are we doing this thing tonight?
Do we need to go? Like, is this it? And she's like, well, I don't think so. It doesn't really feel like it.
Put a heating pad on and see. Yeah. So anyway, I went to bed at 9:30 that night and
just slept like nothing.
Yeah, and so I must have slept through most of my labor. So anyway, we didn't think much of it until I woke up that morning, and it was like 4:30 in the morning, and I knew the things to look for was just like the mucus plug and like all of the pre-labor signs. And so I started having those signs at 4:30 in the morning. I started timing my contractions. It was 5 to 6 minutes apart. I hadn't woke up Tyler yet because I just wasn't positive that they would last and that they would stick around. Because sometimes if you get up, take a hot shower or whatever, it might slow down. Well, I did that. I took a hot shower and they did not slow down. My contractions sped up a lot. So I called. Well, I woke you up.
She woke me up about 5 o'clock, and I was more in the thing. All right, well, let me get the bag packed and get the car seat in the van and make sure the kids are ready for. We were having a friend named Dawn come over. So if you hear us talk about Dawn, she's a pretty integral part of this story.
Yeah.
And so she was gonna come over, watch the kids, and so I was like, should I call her yet? Because it was still really early, and Dorothy's like, I think we're okay. Let's wait just a little bit longer. Would you make me some breakfast?
Yes.
And I said, yeah, I'll go make you some breakfast. You want an egg sandwich? And at first she was like, yeah, that sounds great. So I got the pan heated up. I cooked a couple eggs and brought it in. She's like, I think I just need toast. Just toast.
Something lighter.
And so then I was like, okay, that's fine. So I go back and start making toast, and all of a sudden she's like, get me the... What is
we have this little basket that's like the barf basket, and I was like, "Go get that for me!" It's basically like a trash can.
Bucket.
The throw up bucket.
The throw up bucket, and so I run and get it for her. And at that point, I realized every time Dorothy started to throw up was like it's like go time.
Like into,
and that was with the other.
Labor.
That was with the other labors, and. You know, what was crazy was, with our other ones, we did exactly what we were doing. We just kind of,
we took it slow, as much
labored
as I
at home, got to the hospital, and then all our contractions would just slow down.
And then it would be hours.
And then we'd be back there, and so.
At the hospital. Like, it was 9 hours after
It's
John
funny
Williams,
because we were really just doing it.
Yeah,
we were just doing it the same way we always had. But the minute she started feeling sick, I knew something was different. So I'm like, oh no, I got to call Dawn. And so. Yeah. At 6:13 in the morning, I called Dawn
to come watch her two older kids,
and she didn't answer, so I was starting to worry. But she immediately called me back, and so I was so thankful. And she's like, "All right, I'm on my way." Yeah. And all this time, Dorothy
I'm throwing stuff in the hospital bag, trying to get all of our stuff packed, trying to get her take-home outfit, like all the things I had envisioned for her and me. And I had already. I feel like with our other two, we had already had our bags packed a few weeks before, but this time we weren't as prepared. So anyway, just throwing in like our phone chargers and all that stuff, and I realized, like, I was sitting over here after I had thrown up, like my contractions were getting like, I think they were 3 or 4 minutes apart, so even closer. And I went over there and I was like, I sat on the toilet just to go to the bathroom, and I felt like an urge to push. And at that point, I like come out of the bathroom and I'm like, Dawn.
And this is about 6:30. So
6:30.
I had called Dawn at about 6:15. She called me back and she got over here by 6:30. And I remember being outside talking to her outside because I was the car seat was finally going in. I had to move Audrey's thing around, and so
still getting the car seat installed.
Because she had pulled up while I was doing it, and then all of a sudden Dorothy comes running out. We gotta go now. I'm like, all right, get in, let's go. And
yeah, I thought I was just gonna leisurely say hey to Dawn and how are you doing, and you know, great, you're here, you can watch the kids and stuff. But it was like go time, and I was like panicking at this point because my contractions like really sped up. My water still had not broken at this point. Dawn comes running around behind me trying to help me get in the car. So she's like, what do you need? I'll help you get in the car. And I'm like, okay. So I'm trying to get in the car, and I have another contraction, like a really intense contraction where I just have to pause. And I felt another urge to push, and I was like, oh gosh, I'm about to either have this baby in the car on our way to the hospital, or I can get out and go back in the house and have the baby in our
I was still trying to get her in the
house.
car. I'm like, come on, we gotta go, get it. Just get in, we'll make it.
Yeah, and I did try to let the contraction pass and like just wait a second to see, but like literally her head was starting to crown. And so I was just like, I literally cannot get in the car. Like we have to go in our living room.
So,
I don't know what y'all were thinking at this point, but I was just
we go back in, and Dorothy's like, grab the comforter off the bed, lay it down. And so we kind of folded the comforter up, pillows. And we got towels, and so that we had a fairly soft place for her to sit. And,
yeah.
And
so right at the very end, so I just we don't have anyone trained in medical at all. So we are just I'm just letting my body take over. And I always heard that like that can happen, especially with a third pregnancy, but literally I did not know how much my body would just push, and I felt like it wasn't even like me doing it. It was just like my body like knew exactly what to do. It was crazy. And like I seriously feel like the peace of the Lord just like came over me. And even though it was crazy circumstances, like I feel like I had like that inner peace. And anyway, so I was laying on my left elbow on my knee and just like pushed 2 times. I could start to feel her crowning. And so I was like, okay, well, I was in a kind of awkward position, and I couldn't get on my tailbone because it just hurt too bad. And so I just got on my knees and pushed a couple more times, and little Dottie came, and Tyler was right there, scooped her up, and we were able to like cut the umbilical cord, or we waited.
So while Dorothy while we were setting the blanket up and everything, I had called 911.
You were like, "What's the protocol here?
What do we do?" And so I called 911.
Never experienced this before.
Like can't speak highly enough with their response time.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh,
it was like they were there within, I think, probably 6 minutes of when I first called.
Minutes.
And so, I mean, Dottie had been out for probably about 4 minutes, and they showed up. And
at first we were a little,
they asked us to have if we had a clean
shoestring.
So while we were on the phone
clamp off the umbilical cord.
On the phone with the 911 operator, they're going through all their protocols, and they asked us if we had a clean shoestring so we could tie it off and cut the cord. And I was like, I think we just need to wait. I don't think I have any of that. And so by the time the ambulance got there, they had all the tools we needed, and they were able to check and make sure Dottie was good and Dorothy was good, and they clamped the umbilical cord, and I was able to cut it. And
somebody I was always like, just anytime I would hear somebody say like, oh, they caught the baby or anything like that, I would be like, yeah, right, it doesn't happen like that. Like the baby doesn't ever come out that fast. And I'm like, okay, like Dottie proved us wrong, because she just came out so fast, and she was 7 pounds and 1 ounce, and
and so it was I mean, the ambulance took us to the hospital, and
Yeah.
when she was born, she did cry immediately, which
Yes,
was
she did.
a little bit of relief. But then she got really quiet, and so I remember trying to tickle her neck, and trying to get her
move
to
a little bit,
trying to get her to
cry and
keep
make
going.
sure.
We could see she was breathing, and
Yeah.
but I was still I'm typically the bigger worrier of both of us, and so even the fact that we had it at home is quite surprising. I guess
It was very surprising.
it was surprising that I didn't have her in the car. I must have just misread the situation a lot more than I thought. And so I guess I was going off of experience, which
our
with
other
the third
two
one
labors took forever.
was just different. So
They always say the third child could be the wild card, and so she definitely was. But
yeah, ambulance took us to the hospital. We got there, and they got us into a room. They did all the testing on her.
And my doctor came in, and she was like, "I told you not to be anxious, but I didn't mean just to have the baby at home." Just like, I'm like, I know, I would have waited if I could have, but she knew, she was just ready to come out and meet everybody. So it was crazy, and I feel like we were on an adrenaline rush for like 2 or 3 days, just like just like, and then it was like, oh my gosh, that actually really happened. We actually literally had the baby on our living room floor. I feel like most of y'all asked a question, and it was always about, how's your living room carpet? And I'm like, well, we didn't have it on the living room carpet. We were on like tile with a comforter over it, and so it's all good. We didn't ruin everything. But
I remember just, adrenaline just hit so hard, and when the ambulance finally got there, I was able to kind of think about what just happened for a split second, and I kind of I was dry heaving.
You were dry heaving over there.
They didn't know it, but I
didn't
was,
know
because
until
I was
afterwards.
just,
he told me.
so I was coming off just this huge high, and
just like stress too.
Stress,
just
lots of stress, and making sure she's okay, and Dorothy was okay, and Dorothy was actually, Dawn and I joke now that Dorothy was the calmest one of all three of us. So it was quite funny.
He was like, she's not breathing, and I was like, no, she is. Please, it's okay, she is. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. But we are literally so thankful. Like, the Lord carried us through the entire experience. Number one, just that my body knew like what to do, but just number two, that she's healthy and she is thriving, and there were no complications for me as well. And
I think
we couldn't have asked for like a smoother delivery process. It was honestly,
it was really
crazy.
The Lord's provision through that, because I think the more we thought about it, the more we realized, wow, like there could have been lots of things that have gone wrong, and we weren't prepared, and we were.
Dawn, she wasn't even supposed to. She was supposed to be out of town that week, and she had to cancel her trip because there were tropical storms in Florida, and so she canceled her trip, and she was actually able to show up that morning. I don't know what we would have done without her. There was like a lot of little things. Yeah,
and so it was just, we're so thankful to the Lord just for that, the provision. Safety, and just knowing he carried us through that this was his plan, that
he didn't give me any time to be anxious about it. It was like, nope, it's go time.
It was crazy. We're very thankful, because we know that that's not very typical, and there's always there's usually something that goes on or whatever. So
we're so thankful.
Yeah.
And she's okay. So.
And she's doing great. She's just sitting here sleeping in my arms.
And groaning. This is little Dottie. Oh, she's sleeping. There she is. Oh. And she's about 3 weeks old. Today, actually.
3 weeks old today.
Yeah. So, anyway, we just wanted to share our story and just praise God how this little miracle came to be.